welcome back to Sheena's Homestead. If you're new here, I'm Sheena and this is my homestead. Today we are going to take care of some of these blackberries. I'm really excited. We're actually going to make blackberry jam. We're going to make a low sugar recipe. It is perfect for year round. So if you've seen my past episodes, you can, well, first of all, this is what blackberry season fingers look like. But first of all, this is my huge blackberry patch. This has been something that is running 7-8 years here at our home. It was one of the very first things we established as a homestead. And I learned how to prune it really well, and it produces prolifically for us. So I will definitely do a video on that later this fall. After it's done producing, I'll show you how I get the most out of my blackberry bushes. But in the meantime, give me a thumbs up if you like my hair. I just got it done today, so that's why it's styled a little differently than I normally do it. But I love it, so give me a thumbs up if you like it too. Anyway, here's the blackberries, and let me show you what we have. So this is just a very small peek at how many blackberries we have. And their leaves do a really good job of hiding how many are actually in here. Which is a good thing. They keep them away from the birds. But look at that. Look how many there are. And this is just a small section. It keeps going and going and going. For our jam recipe, we're going to end up needing at least 4 cups of mashed blackberries. So when you mash them up, they definitely go down in volume. So I would recommend at least picking 6 cups of blackberries in order to achieve this recipe. In my last round of canning blackberry jam, I did 10 half-pint jars, which was a double recipe. So for this recipe, we're going to end up doing 5 half-pint jars, and we'll need at least 6 cups of blackberries. By the time we mash them, it'll be 4 cups. Alright, so we're in the kitchen. We have all of our blackberries. We're just going to give them a nice rinse. Make sure that we get any little bugs or pieces of grass, all that stuff off of our blackberries so they're nice and clean and ready for jam. Our first step is we're going to want to mash these blackberries. So I am going to take them and actually put them in my KitchenAid mixer. This is my preferred way of mashing the berries pretty quickly. So for this blackberry recipe, we are going to use Pomona's Universal Pectin. I absolutely love this pectin because it is a low sugar product. A lot of pectins need lots of sugar in order to gel, but this one doesn't need quite as much. And to top it off, it comes with some lovely directions to help you with any of the recipes that you might need help with. And you can also use honey, and that's what we're going to do today. I have this beautiful amber colored honey that I got from our neighbor. Our neighbor has his own bees, and this is honest to God the best tasting honey I've ever had in my life. So we're going to incorporate that into our jam today. So first things first, you're going to want to make sure that you have your water bath canner heating up and getting ready to go, because that takes the most amount of time, in my opinion, to get up to boiling. So it's kind of the first thing I do when I walk in the kitchen, just get that started. And then I have all of my little jars that I'm going to use. I like to call these jelly jars, but they are just half-pint ball glass jars. I got these at Menards. I'll put a link below that you can find them on Amazon. They're beautiful. They have just a little cut crystal look to them, and they're perfect for gifting. And last but not least, we have our lemon juice. I always fresh squeeze my lemon juice for my recipes, but you can use either a lime. The recipe says you can use a lime, or you can use lemon juice from a jar. That's totally fine. And the other unique thing that Pomona's has is a little packet of calcium. So you make up this little calcium water concoction, and you add however many tablespoons or teaspoons you need per your recipe. And I believe that just helps solidify the entire process of making it become a more solid state, like a jam or a jelly. And then of course we have our pre-poured Pomonas ready to go. So we're gonna finish mashing up our blackberries, and then we're gonna start to get them heated up on the stove. All right, our blackberries are all mashed up. We're gonna put them into this pan. Remember, you want 4 cups. Okay, and we're gonna make sure this gets nice and hot. We're gonna stay right by it, keep stirring it. We want it to get really hot to the point where it just starts to boil, and then we're gonna add our sweetener, which in our case is honey. If you're using sugar, you can use 2/3 cup. Now that the water has gotten to a steamy temperature, I am going to take these jars apart, just lower them straight in so that we can sanitize them and get them nice and warm before we begin our process. So right before we start the canning process, I'm actually going to take both of these and dip them in so that they're hot as well. But for right now, just letting those jars kind of boil in there. And speaking of, this is getting to its boiling point as well, which means I'm going to add in my sweetener momentarily here. I'm going to start off with 3/4 cup of honey. You can go up to a full cup depending on what kind of sweetness you like in your blackberry jam. So now that we're up to a boil, I'm going to add my sugar, which in this case is honey. I'm just eyeballing about 3/4 cup of honey. And I'm going to stir that in. The process of adding anything takes the temperature down just a notch, so we're going to wait for it to get back up to temperature. And then I'm going to add my pectin, my lemon water, my lemon juice, and my calcium water. So now we're adding our lemon juice. And we're going to add our pectin. Stir that in, and once we get it incorporated, I'm going to grab our calcium and get that in there too. Add our 2 teaspoons of calcium water. And we're just going to get this to a boil. And once we've gotten it to a boiling point, I'm going to take it off the heat, and we'll be ready to pull our jars out and get them ready too. Okay, that's really hot, so we are just going to set this here while I get our jars out of the canner, and we will be all set to go. All right, now we're ready to get started. I have this nifty little funnel that helps me to get all of the blackberry goodness straight inside the jar. You want to make sure you leave an inch headspace. So just up to here. So with good canning practice, you always want to take a paper towel and a little bit of vinegar and wipe down the rim of every jar. And the purpose of this is to remove any sugar or jam that got on the rim, because that will prevent it from sealing correctly. And the top of your jar won't go down or You'll find out later that it didn't go down, and unfortunately you'll have to throw away that entire jar, and that is not fun. So make sure you wipe everything down nicely. Now we have our lids, and we're just going to put each one right on top. And then we're just going to screw them on finger tight. Jars are still pretty hot, which is a good sign that we're doing it right. And these are all set to go in the canner. Okay, we have a nice rolling boil here. I'm going to turn it down just a little bit. I'm going to take each jar and place that in. You want them to stand upright, don't let them fall over. Okay, so this is at a rolling boil. We're going to let this sit in there for 10 minutes before we take it out. Alright friends, well that is it for today. We processed 5 jars of blackberry jelly together. I am so excited for these. They make great gifts for family and friends. I know that my mom can't wait for Mother's Day when she gets a whole collection of jams and jellies and pickled onions. It's just such a great gift. So I hope you enjoyed this recipe. I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I can't wait to get together again with you soon. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you next time on Sheena's Homestead. Bye, friends.